show is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only.
जब हमारे परिवार के बुजुर्गों की सेहत और देखभाल की बात होती है तो घर पर इन होम केयर वाला ऑप्शन सबसे बढ़िया है। अनलॉक का पेस प्रोग्राम एक ऐसा कन्वीनियंट एंड पर्सनलाइज्ड ऑप्शन है जिसके जरिए हमारे बुजुर्ग घर पर हमारे साथ रहकर यही देखभाल और सेवा का लाभ उठा सकते हैं। अब चाहे वो घर पर रहे या अनलॉक वाले पेस सेंटर में आए, उनको वही डेडिकेटेड एंड प्रोफेशनल केयर मिलेगी। अनलॉक ने बुजुर्गों की सेहत को अपना प्रायोरिटी बना लिया है। और जानने के लिए 1855-308-0195 पे कॉल करें। That's 1855-308-0195।
Top of the morning, Bay, with Good Morning Bay.
Get to know about the traffic on your way and what's news around the world today.
Some wisdom skills along the way.
Oh, and a song to hum along with and sway.
Get your perfect entertaining start to the day.
At 9 a.m. every weekday morning with
Mahima's
Good Morning Bay.
Good morning, Bay. आप सभी लोग हमारी तरफ से एक प्यार भरा नमस्ते,
नमस्कार,
वनकम,
नमस्कार,
खुशामदीद,
सलाम अलैकुम,
सत श्री अकाल,
मी गांधरी वंदनमु,
जय स्वामी नारायण,
जय श्री कृष्णा,
जय जिनेंद्र।
हमारे इस्माइली भाई बंधुओं को बोलते या अली मदद,
मौला अली मदद बोलते हुए सारे फीजिए मंदर बोलेंगे नीसा बुला बड़जन। हम आ गए हैं आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारा। मैं से फालतू बाबा
and of course myself फालतू रानी लेकर आपके लिए एक और drive time that's going to make it totally exciting and totally मस्तानी बंद जानी।
That's right, but of course, if you didn't know about that, आज है June 15th, 455th day of our sheltering in place Bandujan. And yes, as you guys know, there has California actually officially has opened up as of today. There are many businesses taking in more people to come in. They're going to be servicing more people right now. But matlab, the restrictions they had about the limits in these businesses have been removed. That's right. And is it time to rejoice? I don't know, but that's why our reopen sign is flickering, because we still have the little bit of a fear in us as to what's going to happen. So definitely continue masking. We'll talk about all those things, but we'll talk about what you need to do and what you need to keep in mind when it comes to reopening and how we can actually be safe for the Jan. We'll talk about all those things in news updates for sure. Like I said, what we're going to go to check out is the traffic update for you guys, what's happening in the roads. जो हम लोग आपको देते हैं total sustainable Jan, which we call रास्ते का हाल सस्ते में।
It's time for the Bandu Traffic Update. Call us from wherever you are at 408-912-2479.
Alright, my gents, the traffic-wise, we're getting not much of traffic to report for you guys. As you guys know, we did talk about this hot weather coming in this whole week, actually. We're going to be experiencing something in the range of mid-90s, Rabarjan. That's right. It's almost like 20 degrees more than what it was last week. So it is going to be a world of a difference, Rabarjan. It's somewhere in the mid-90s today. Kind of cloudy, but of course, no, it'll burn up in just a few minutes. And it's going to be a hot day, climbing up to 70s, mid-70s, going to 80s. And of course, peak afternoon, we probably will experience the 90s, Rabarjan. Inland with the और भी hot होगा, Rabarjan. And कल तो don't even just forget about tomorrow's going to be really hot, because expect to reach hundreds. That's right.
Wow.
And of course, the coastal side might be a little bit cooler, but right now because it's inland's obviously going to be hot for us. Speaking of coastal side, Banjan, speaking of the bridges and everything, Banjan, there's a high wind advisory on 92 eastbound and westbound in San Mateo area. The only thing which I really concerned about Fatwani is when we talk about these kind of high winds, right? High winds, hot weather is a perfect storm condition for fires.
Correct.
So you got to be very mindful and careful of that, Banjan. Speaking about the North Bay part of it and also coastal areas, let's talk about 280. 280 is reporting an accident on I'm so sorry. It just got cleared, means it's been cleared off by CHP. But on 101 southbound east of Hillsdale Avenue, there's an accident over there. The right shoulder is affected. Watch out, drive carefully. I don't see any incidents of accidents around the Bay Area. Banjans means good news. But the news over here right now, Fatwani, is the fact that ADT still sucks.
Yeah.
The traffic is really bad on the bridge, and yes, not all the way, but some places. It's not as bad as what was pre-COVID, but post-COVID we'll have a different world, I suppose, and we'll keep you updated on what's happening over here for sure, Banjam. Now let's go jump into the news. Fatani, what we have as news for us today?
There's a lot of stuff that's coming up, Altu Baba.
Okay,
in
are you
fact,
like
there's
buying?
a developing story. I'm trying to find the actual news story because I'm not able to find it on Reuters, but I found it on Times. So it's something about a shooting story. If you can look it up while I'm sharing the other news items. In Chicago, 4 people are dead, and it's an active situation apparently. Something's going on. It's another gun violence issue that's happening. Well, but let's give you the headlines right now, Badijan. These are the headlines coming to you from Radio Dihadis. This is the morning edition of Good Morning Bay, and we broadcast every day live right here from the Silicon Valley studios. So the first big news item that's coming out is that the FBI has warned that followers of the QAnon conspiracy theory could again engage in violence against political opponents out of frustration that the theory's predictions have not come true. Believers in the conspiracy theory, which casts former President Donald Trump as a savior figure and elite Democrats as a cabal of satanist pedophiles and cannibals, played a prominent role in the deadly Jan 6 assaults on the Capitol. That in a June 4th bulletin distributed to members of Congress, and as seen by news agencies including Reuters, the FBI has said its experts believe that some believers in predictions of political upheavals promoted on QAnon websites and bulletin boards believe they can no longer trust the plan. In the meanwhile, the United States is taking a proactive approach, and they've laid out a plan to combat white supremacist violence. President Joe Biden's administration on Tuesday unveiled a plan to address the threat of violence posed by white supremacists and militias 5 months after members of those groups joined in a deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol. The White House released a 30-page plan for increased information sharing between federal and local officials and social media companies, additional resources to identify and prosecute threats, and new deterrents to prevent Americans from joining dangerous groups. The administration conducted a sweeping assessment earlier this year of domestic terrorism that labeled white supremacist and militia groups as top national security threats. The issue took on new urgency after the Jan 6 assault on the Capitol by supporters of then President Donald Trump, who were trying to overturn Biden's election victory. And also, Banajan, in news with regard to Donald Trump, emails released by the a batch of emails released by the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee appears to paint a clearer picture of how President Donald Trump, or former President Donald Trump, and his allies attempted to pressure the U.S. Justice Department to investigate unsubstantiated claims of voter fraud in the 2020 election. The 232 pages of documents detail the unprecedented pressure campaign that Trump, along with his chief of staff and other allies, conducted to get senior officials at the Justice Department to challenge the results of the election in the face of Trump's loss to Democrat Joe Biden. In one example, Trump actually directed sham claims of voter fraud to then Deputy Attorney General Jeff Rosen less than an hour before the president tweeted that Attorney General William Barr, who publicly stated that there was no evidence of widespread election fraud, would be stepping down and would be replaced by Rosen. So the newly released emails also highlight multiple conspiracy theories surrounding election fraud pushed by the then White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. On December 30th, 2020, Meadows emailed Rosen a translation of a document that alleged that there was a plot in which U.S. election data was altered in Italian facilities and loaded onto military satellites, and that Trump was clearly the winner. So that's something else that is news that's coming out with the jam. Also, the Justice Department now has completely rebuffed former President Donald Trump. He was, for all this stuff that he did, and they actually went to the extent of saying that this is pure insanity of his claims based on the documents that were released today. The Biden administration is also pushing for seeking a death sentence. They're looking to reinstate the death sentence of Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. If you remember, the guy who was one of the Boston Marathon bombers. He was convicted in the deadly 2013 Boston Marathon bombing despite President Joe Biden's stated opposition to capital punishment. The department, in a 48-page brief filed late on Monday, argued that a lower court wrongly overturned Tsarnaev's death sentence and has ordered a new trial to determine what sentence he received for carrying out with his older brother the attack that killed 3 people and wounded more than 260 others. I think they're going to make an example of him. And locally, Banajan, as Altubaba mentioned to you, the National Weather Service has issued a heat advisory and an excessive heat warning for much of the Bay Area beginning tomorrow. The temperatures are expected to be in the 90s and in the hundreds. The heat advisory is in effect from 11 a.m. Wednesday through 9 p.m. Friday for the North Bay, Interior Valley, Santa Cruz Mountains, and Santa Clara Valley, including San Jose and Hollister Valley. Temperatures are expected to be between 94 degrees and 99 degrees. The excessive heat warning, which predicts temperatures between 98 and 108 degrees, also is in effect from 11 a.m. Thursday to 9 p.m. Friday for many of the same areas, including the North Bay Mountains, East Bay Valleys and Mountains, Santa Lucia Mountains, Los Padres National Forest, mountains of San Benito County, and interior Monterey County, including Pinnacles National Park.
All right, my gents, that was the news for you guys. Locally, we'll come back to some more news for you guys. But yes, and keeping with the theme and keeping with the feeling of opening up everywhere, Banjan, how about we play a nice song which talks to us about how we can go about, after the new rules are coming into California, Banjan. Let me remind you one thing. People might wonder, what does it mean? What's it going to mean to me? Or reopening matlab kya hai? I'm fully vaccinated, but first of all, what does it mean to be fully vaccinated? We'll tell you just a few, Banjan.
उंगली पकड़ ली सपनों की आए है खुशियों के पंछी खुली जो खिड़की अखियों की दिल तो बलून है जुनून से भरा है जो मेरी धड़कनों की स्वीट ट्यून से भरा है जो दिल तो बलून है जुनून से भरा है जो मेरी धड़कनों की स्वीट ट्यून से भरा है जो मैं
That's right, Bhajan. जब आपका मन कहे पंख फैला के fly हो जाए, Bhajan, here's something to know about right now. What does it mean to be fully vaccinated? And if you're fully vaccinated, what all can you do? Can you meet somebody without a mask? Well, but fully vaccinated means you actually got both the shots, the initial first shot and also the booster shot. Now, if you actually one of those people who actually got Johnson & Johnson and got only one shot, that's still fine. Actually, it means you're fully vaccinated anyways. Okay.
Right.
And then if you want to ask questions like oh my God, what's going to happen? Can I go out to them without a mask? Yes, if you're fully vaccinated, CDC is saying that you're allowed to go without a mask. Now, what all can you do? Indoor activities which you can do. If you're fully vaccinated and you can do without a mask is go to a salon. Right? But again, there's also something which you got to keep in mind. There are some places where you actually have to wear a mask anyways. Like if you want to travel BART, you're supposed to wear a mask. Right? You're supposed to wear a mask if you're going to go into the TSA airport and everything, right? So TSA checks and everything.
Schools, you're still supposed to wear masks.
Yes, K-12, if you're actually going to be going to kids who are K-12, it's advisable to have the mask on. Not that they actually have any kind of severe adverse effects of the virus, but still, it's better to keep it safe and everything, Baljan. And IBB, we're not out of the woods right now. At least it's opened up is what we're saying. But again, if one of your friends possibly is not vaccinated for whatever reason they have not vaccinated, they don't want to take vaccination or whatever, right? And is it okay for you to meet them without a mask? If you are fully vaccinated, CDC says yes, you can meet them without a mask, right? So, but probably it's again vaccination is a personal choice, and if at all they choose to have a vaccine, probably they can. You can encourage them, but you can't force them. If you tell them that they probably might win something, that's also one way you can do, right?
But unvaccinated people need to always keep wearing masks indoors as well, whereas fully vaccinated people, except the locations that Alto said, public transport, hospitals and schools, they can still take off their masks indoors.
That's right, Bandujan. So that was your update for you guys. A quick news of what's happening internationally for you guys. Fatwani, can we do that a little bit for them?
Yes, Alto Baba. But before I give you that, let's tell you, when we say California reopening, a lot of employers in the Bay Area are also saying that they're also going to open on a hybrid model.
Yay!
Google has outlined this hybrid model, returning to workplace with 3 days in the office and 2 days off-site. This would break down about 60% of staff being in the office at least a few days a week. Cupertino-based Apple is also saying that they're looking at a hybrid return. So they're asked to work Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the rest of them will be asked to return to 4 to 5 days a week. And also, Salesforce is saying they're looking at a good percentage of their employees coming back to work after the pandemic. And of course, there's like a bunch of other tech trade associations where you could get information about how they're planning to come back to work, because 10% of the tech companies plan to return through the Monday through Friday model. Also, in international news, Bandujan, breaking news is that 28 Chinese Air Force aircrafts, including fighters and nuclear-capable bombers, entered Taiwan's air defense identification zone on Tuesday, the island's government said, the largest reported incursion to date. While there was no immediate comment from Beijing, the news comes after a group of 7 leaders issued a joint statement on Sunday, scolding China for a series of issues and underscored the importance of peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait, comments China condemned as a slander. China has also urged NATO to stop exaggerating the China threat theory. They said that NATO leaders actually on Mondays, they took a very forceful stance towards Beijing in a communique at United States President Joe Biden's first summit with the alliance. China's stated ambitions and assertive behavior present systemic challenges to the rules-based international order and to areas relevant to alliance security, NATO leaders had said. The new U.S. president has also urged his fellow NATO leaders to stand up to China's authoritarianism and growing military might, a change of focus for an alliance created to defend Europe from the Soviet Union during the Cold War. And of course, in news from India, Bandujan, there is some news with regard to a Pakistan gas pipeline project where Russia is seeming to ignore India's interests. Pakistan media is claiming that after this deal, Russian President Vladimir Putin is going to be visiting Islamabad, and the increasing closeness between Russia and Pakistan holds great strategic importance, but of course could pose a threat for India. And India is behind China and Pakistan in nuclear warheads, but is not worried, is what they're stating at this particular point in time. And there's another news item that's coming out of India, which is saying that U.S. student visa rush is happening. The embassy is saying that they're resolving technical issues, but will give thousands of appointments in the coming weeks. So more on all of this you can find on MediaMahima.com. That's all we have time for on this morning's Good Morning Bay. We'll be back tonight live at 5 on the Pam Pam Show. Enjoy the first day of California being reopened, Bandujan. Have yourselves a terrific Tuesday.
आजकल सच में जिंदगी है टच में दुनिया भी है भली लाइक सहेली लम्हों के बस में सपनों के चश्मे पैरों में हो जली उम्मीदों की गली दिल थोड़ा स्वीट है बस थोड़ा सा ही ढीठ है दिल थोड़ा स्वीट